From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
A major Supreme Court ruling in the nation's first constitutional climate change trial. How this affirms the young plaintiffs behind the case for a healthier environment. And the future of the Colonial Apartments, what the city of Billings is planning for the site and where would its tenants go if it were demolished. Plus, a family-grown business in this morning's Montana Ag Report, how a Flathead County family's roots tie into the Christmas season. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Thursday, December 19th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Ooh.
Yes, welcome to your Thursday. I'm hoping you didn't get blown away.
Okay, yeah.
Gusted over.
It was crazy last night. It was
this
really
is what
rocking.
Dorothy felt like.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, I think Livingston, they had at the airport there, clocked at 74 miles an hour here in Billings. Well, let's just go ahead and show you. Let's take a step back in time. Yesterday, it warmed up a bit. We got into the low 50s well, let's see. Is the computer going to play along? There we go. 53 for the high yesterday, so almost a good 20 degrees above the norm. We'll be about 10 degrees cooler today. We do have a little bit of cooler air coming in behind that area of low pressure that gave us the wind yesterday, but we'll warm right back up again. We're not done with the 50s yet. So there you go. Top gust yesterday officially at the airport at 62 miles an hour. Been very dry out there, continuing to dig a hole for the year, and we're not going to catch up with that deficit at all, not even close. And look at the snow totals, over 12.5 inches in the hole, folks, and it's not looking good for any snow for our area. Maybe this weekend we could see a few flakes, maybe on Christmas Day for some in the morning. But that was the big story yesterday. Look at all those wind reports coming in, and we're going to dig deeper into that as we go along this morning. If you go to meteorologist Miller Robson, my Facebook page, there's a full list of the reports coming in, but you can see the winds will start to taper off today, kind of pick back up again tomorrow along the western foothills, where we could definitely have gusts 30, 40, maybe even 50 miles an hour, but maybe not as windy as it was yesterday. Right now we're sitting at temperatures anywhere from the single digits off to our east to 20s and 30s, and because it is so windy still over on the eastern side of the state, we have wind chills below zero, so a cold start. Complete look at your forecast coming up, and we'll talk more about the Christmas Day forecast too here in just a bit.
All right, Miller, thanks for tracking all those details for us. And in our top story this morning, the Montana Supreme Court handed down a major ruling in a landmark case Wednesday. It upholds a district court ruling in the nation's first constitutional climate change trial held v. Montana. The 70-page decision affirms that the 13 youth plaintiffs have a fundamental constitutional right to a clean and healthful environment. That language was added to the Montana Constitution in 1970. Our David J. dives deeper into the 6-1 ruling and the lasting impact it could have.
We had a chance to talk with one of the young people involved in the lawsuit against the state of Montana. He called the ruling historic, and it makes a law passed by the 2023 legislature unconstitutional. The 16 youth plaintiffs met on a Zoom call Wednesday morning.
It was really good seeing everyone's reactions and seeing the joy on their faces.
Kean Tanner from Big Fork was in high school at the beginning of the lawsuit and now is a student at St. Mary's College in Moraga, California.
This sets the precedent, not just for Montana and what Montana can do, but it also sets the precedent for the rest of the United States. It also sets a precedent for the world.
He's pleased that the court ruled that a law prohibiting agencies from analyzing the effects of greenhouse gas emissions in all cases is unconstitutional.
The remedy is that the government has to start considering those impacts, and the court talked a lot about how important under our environmental review law, how important public access to information is.
University of Montana law professor Michelle Bryan is the director of the school's Natural Resource and Environmental Law program, and whether or not the plaintiffs had standing was a huge issue in the case.
It has a really precise legal meaning, and it means there's a party that's been actually injured.
Justice Jim Rice wrote the dissenting opinion in the 6-1 decision, saying, as much as we want to encourage young people to involve themselves in the political process, that desire cannot turn plaintiffs' compelling stories into constitutional standing. Governor Greg Gianforte signed House Bill 971 into law in 2023 and says the court continues to step outside of its lane to tread on the right of the legislature, the elected representatives of the people, to make policy. This decision does nothing more than declare open season on Montana's all-of-the-above approach to energy. Meanwhile, a spokesman for Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen said the decision is disappointing but not surprising. The majority of the state Supreme Court justices yet again ruled in favor of their ideologically aligned allies and ignored the fact that Montana has no power to impact the climate. Bryan says the court ruling will help the state make informed decisions.
It doesn't mean we can't still do things. It just means we have to follow these laws before we act.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
David, thanks so much. As of last night, a bipartisan budget bill to keep the government funded has now collapsed, threatening a Christmas-time shutdown. The stopgap spending measure fell apart after a thumbs down from President-elect Donald Trump telling Republicans to, quote, get tough. House Speaker Mike Johnson faced pushback over last-minute additions, including more than $100 billion in disaster aid, $10 billion in economic assistance for farmers, and a commitment from the federal government to pay for the rebuilding of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. The bill also included a pay raise for members of Congress, their first since 2009. Trump's main issue with the 1,500-page bill is that it would keep government funding levels steady through mid-March.
Well, what the president believes is we should support a clean CR so long as it contains a debt limit increase.
House Republicans will now own any harm that is visited upon the American people that results from a government shutdown or worse. An agreement is an agreement.
As is the case with the last few stopgap measures, Speaker Johnson will need Democratic support in the House and a sign-off from the Democrat-led Senate. And here in Billings, the U.S. Marshal Service is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to a man wanted for double homicide. Godfrey Joseph Brokenrope, who's around 5 foot 6 inches tall and weighs 150 pounds, was last known to be in the Billings area. Billings police confirmed that Brokenrope is wanted in the shooting death of 31-year-old Kenneth Morrison and his 1-year-old son Tatek on November 1st of 2023. Brokenrope is believed to have been in the backseat of a pickup truck that pulled up to Morrison's residence and opened fire on the home. Morrison was shot inside his bedroom, with Tatek being found unresponsive in his arms. Authorities later confirmed the baby died of compression asphyxia. 2 people, Myron Goes Ahead and Jane Nicole Knows This Gun, have already been charged in connection to that crime. If you have any information on Brokenrope, you're asked to call the U.S. Marshals immediately. And the future of the Colonial Apartments could be one step closer to demise. The decision is set to go before a jury in January. City leaders say they're aggressively pursuing litigation to either repair or demolish it. Meanwhile, as our Andrea Lutz reports, the owner maintains he's providing low-income housing to those living in poverty in Billings.
It doesn't seem to matter.
There was about 10 or 15 cops that pulled up
Day or night.
there, took somebody into custody, and then did a little bit of investigating and then drove away.
Crime and the Colonial often collide.
I don't even have fingers for how many times I've seen that happen.
Annika Lawler, who travels the city working as a DoorDash driver, describes the latest crime scene to unfold before her very eyes in broad daylight.
I'm just wondering when enough is enough.
It's a question many are asking, and enough could be soon.
It shouldn't take this long.
Here's the latest. After mediation attempts failed, the case is headed to a jury trial. The lawsuit is an aggressive tactic used through code enforcement to clean up the many violations on the property, accusing owner John Skoggy of maintaining a dangerous structure.
There's obviously reports of crime after crime after crime.
At last check, crime at the Colonial is down from last year. Still, there was a whopping 152 calls to the Colonial this year.
But then the house is still standing.
In response to the city's lawsuit, Skoggy says he's made upgrades, including a new fire escape, and denies it's the subject of excessive calls, even removing troublesome tenants and providing housing for an unrepresented community.
You need a place to live. Those people got to go someplace.
A point Frank Ewalt agrees with.
That's a warmer place than being outside.
The former city councilor warns if the Colonial is demolished at the hands of the city, another issue will surface.
Even though it's not what I'd like to live in, what you'd like to live in, what the mayor'd like to live in, it's better than living on the street.
The Colonial is a historic building, once linked to the success of Billings.
It's just absolutely insane. And I know crime doesn't have an address, but we got to fix that.
Home to a complicated issue. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Andrea, thanks so much. And while the Colonial has been a hotbed of criminal activity for years, not everyone living in the building is involved. Some live there, telling MTN News it's one of the only places they can afford. Billings is also suffering from a lack of affordable housing. Haley Monaco takes a closer look at where these tenants would go if they're forced out.
Here at Homefront, the wait list to get into affordable housing is the longest it's been in over 3 decades, and the need continues to grow. For Princess Bigman, walking miles a day is not unusual.
I walked everywhere.
But now, with 5 young kids in tow, the single mom knew she needed help.
I was very scared because I am now possibly at the mercy of the streets.
She was shut out of nearly every spot she went.
A lot of organizations turned me away, or they said that they could not be of any help.
Until Homefront.
Eventually, I was approved for Section 8, and I was just, overjoyed and overwhelmed because slowly but surely there's progress being made.
She was really at her last end. She's like, if I don't get help today, I don't know what else I'm gonna do.
Pamela Aning works with around 50 people a month in Billings, just like Princess, looking for housing assistance.
So I meet with the most vulnerable people in our community.
But the number in need in our community continues to grow.
We just hit over 8,000 people who need housing assistance here in our community.
Staggering numbers with not enough space. Homefront has 455 units and helps with another 1,400 housing choice vouchers.
We need to build, and we need to build a lot more housing.
I would guess that the average is running about 1.5 to 2 years as a whole for our wait list.
1-bedrooms and 4-bedrooms are the most needed, and Homefront is doing everything they can to build spaces and find help for the over 8,000 families needing assistance. But right now, it's a losing battle.
I think that a lot of people have more housing insecurity now than ever.
I believe that people deserve a decent place to live.
Affordable, safe places to stay.
Now that we are not homeless and we are in a very secure spot, I want to start thriving my children in sports and their interests.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Haley, thanks so much. For more than 70 years, Ray Robinson and his family have been growing and selling Christmas trees in Flathead County. Ray sells his Christmas staples statewide from Polson to Great Falls and even up on the High Line in Havre. In our Montana Ag Report, MTN's Sean Wells has more on this family-grown.
This is what I felt I was chosen for, and this is what I love to do.
Ray Robinson's first memories of cutting Christmas trees are from the first grade when his dad Ralph would take him to the tree farm after school.
Okay, this be 9. Then everything was cut with an axe or a handsaw. And he chopped off 2. I was a little guy about this tall. Trees were longer than me. He says, there, take them to the truck, and when you get done, come back. I'll have a couple more.
Ray quickly fell in love with the family business and took over his dad's outfit alongside his brothers. Between wholesale and retail, Ray sells between 700 to 900 trees each Christmas.
One of the things that's been a company policy since my dad started the company is you buy a Christmas tree from us and it goes bad, we replace it with the best thing we have in the lot.
Ray sells 10 different varieties of Christmas trees in his lot and grows his own white fir, alpine fir, and lodgepole pine. He brings in trees from other states to give his customers a good selection to choose from.
We sell the most of the Fraser fir. Fraser will grow here in the Flathead, but it doesn't grow well.
Ray says the average tree they sell is around 20 years old and between 6 and 9 feet tall.
My favorite part is the harvesting down there, being out in the woods and stuff.
Ray cuts his own trees from his farm in Big Fork and occasionally gets a little extra help from his 5-year-old grandson.
It just actually melts my heart to see him help me there. That's probably one of the things that I enjoy the most now.
This 71-year-old doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon.
When they bury me. That's the way I look at it, good Lord willing. Or my wife keeps saying that, you know, we could retire, but you get sawdust in your veins, you don't quit.
In Kalispell, Sean Wells, MTA News.